Mohammad, when you're ready, we can begin.
Okay. I'm ready. Let me share my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my session today in Collabdays Greece 2025. My session today is going to be about reverse engineering SPFx testing, teaching GitHub Copilot to configure Vitest for you. And by that, we will level up the SharePoint SPFx projects with Vitest unit testing. Before we dive in, let me introduce myself. I am Mohammad. I'm delighted to be here. It is really an honor to be here in Collabdays Greece 2025. And also it is honor to be here between all the awesome speakers in the event. Special thanks to Chris and all the organizing team for making this event possible and for inviting me to be part of it. I'm a Microsoft MVP in Microsoft 365 development, and I am an experienced .NET and Azure solution developer. I have focused on leveraging the Microsoft ecosystem, specifically Azure and Microsoft 365, to design and deliver business solutions on top of Microsoft 365. And my work main focus is on driving enterprise collaboration and building modern first cloud architectures using, of course, platforms like SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and SPFx SharePoint Framework. I'm passionate about the community and sharing practical expertise, and I look forward to diving into today's topic with you. So feel free to reach out or connect with me through the social links on the slide. You can have a look at my GitHub repos, or maybe if you have any question, you can, of course, connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Blue Sky. The agenda for today is fully packed. So we are going to talk about the challenge testing SPFx. So we will start by grounding ourselves in why we need Vitest in our SPFx projects. Also, we will do a quick recap of Vitest and the Vitest's powerful features and speed advantages that we can get from Vitest unit testing. Then we will next jump into the reverse engineering, the setup and the configuration of Vitest in SPFx projects. So more broadly, the core philosophy here is that we can always apply this reverse engineering mindset to deconstruct and automate any manual or complex development problem that we face. So in my today's topic, I am going to focus on leveraging GitHub Copilot and automate some development stuff that take time from us, but keep in your mind always that there are many cases that you can leverage GitHub Copilot and VS Code to automate. So it's not only about testing SPFx projects using Vitest and reverse the engineering and automate stuff in specifically SPFx projects. But you can, of course, do many automation stuff by combining all these stuff together. But of course, for the sake of the demo time, we will only focus only on the SPFx projects and testing it using Vitest with the help of GitHub Copilot. After that, we will have a live demo for the manual process. We will jump into the first live demo, and I will walk you through the setting up the necessary files for your SPFx project in order to have Vitest unit testing for your project. We will change some files like package.json, tsconfig, and vitest.config.ts. When we reach to this step, pay close attention, as this is the knowledge base that we will use for the next steps. And after that, we will be applying the reverse engineering to AI automation with GitHub Copilot. And I will show you how to reverse engineering the prompt, taking the required configuration steps and structuring it into a single comprehensive instruction for GitHub to apply to your project. After that, we will have a second live demo, and this will be our second demo, and it will be the peak of the session. So you will see how a single well-crafted Copilot prompt can instantly generate and configure all these files changes that you created previously manually. This, of course, transforms the setup process for minutes of manual work into seconds of GitHub Copilot work. Then at the end of my session, there are some takeaways, and we will wrap up with the main lesson learned from the session today, and how to combine the expert SPFx knowledge with the powerful AI tools like GitHub Copilot to seriously speed your development workflow. But before we dive in, I would like to deep dive a bit with the Vitest. And I also would like to hear from you if you have worked before with the Vitest. So just write a comment if you worked before with Vitest or you experienced touching it before. It would really help me driving the session today. So what is Vitest? Vitest is a testing library which is inspired by Jest and closely integrated with Vite ecosystem. So what is Vite or Vite? Vite or Vite is a scaffolding tool which emphasizes very fast reload. It is quite similar to Create React App. So most of the developers know Create React App. So Vitest is to Vite as Jest is to Create React App. Vitest was inspired by Jest, so it has many features that are equivalent. Vitest is also very fast, so just like Vite, it emphasizes quick test executions. if you know Vite or also worked with Vite before. It has also numerous features which assist in fast test runs. So also Vitest is a full-featured testing library. It has many tools, including snapshots, coverage, user interface, and more. Let's also dive into the Vitest features. So first, it is integrated with Vite in case you have Vite project, but also it can be integrated with SPFx projects, and this is our main topic today. It is very easy to get started by installing the required packages to run Vitest. It has fast watch mode, which mirrors the Vite's fast hot reloads. And out of the box, it supports testing JSX and TypeScript. Vitest offers excellent support for snapshot testing, if you also have worked with snapshot testing. Anyone who has used this powerful tool will recognize that snapshot tests are an invaluable element for testing front-end applications, really. Vitest also features top-level await, which is a convenient syntax for writing JavaScript. Also, that makes our tests easier to understand and maintain. Finally, for Vitest features, Vitest offers concurrency, which means that it is able to execute multiple tests in parallel at the same time. And this, of course, speeds up the unit testing running. This is another way in which Vitest speeds up the test executions. The Vitest setup and configuration is the thing that we will focus on today, because we will take this step further by reverse engineering and make the GitHub Copilot to do all these configuration for us. So we have to install and configure Vitest before it can be used to run your tests. So to get Vitest working, first we install it via npm. Remember to save it as a dev dependency, both to make your project more organized and also to prevent different devs working on the same application from accidentally using different versions of Vitest. This is also something important. We use a Vitest config file to configure specific things about our Vitest tests, like where our test files are located. We can customize Vitest not just in the config file, but we can customize it using the command line as well. So this gives us access to additional features such as code coverage and UI, etc. What we can customize using Vitest configurations. We can specify whether to include or exclude files, how to manage the dependencies, which reporter to use, for example, the HTML or JSON reporter or whatever reporter you need in your project or pipeline. how to order your tests. Also, what to do when tests fail or take a long time, and variety of additional options. Finally, for the setup and configuration, we should use the configuration reference for the full list of all configuration settings, and the full reference, I will share it in the links at the end of our session. It is in vitest.dev/config. I will share the links shortly with you. Let's start our first demo. As we talked, there are some configuration we should add to our project, and let's start with the package.json. So as you see here, we have some packages required for our SPFx project in order to set up the Vitest. And I used here these versions of Vitest and testing library because I'm using SPFx version 1.21, I think. So we can check, so you know that these versions are compatible with the SPFx version that we have here. So 1.21.1. So as you see here, there are core Vitest packages and testing library packages. Those ones, testing library packages, yes. And also there are environment and configuration packages like JS-DOM and also the Vitest TS config passes. These are the packages that required to start configuring your SPFx project for Vitest unit testing. And of course, I added these packages manually to my packages.json file. I also added some commands to help me run the tests in my project, like the ones that you see. There are some types also required for your project, like these types. So I added it to TS config. And this is one of the important files that we should add to configure Vitest unit testing for our SPFx project. This configuration file sets up the Vitest for your SPFx project. As you see here, the configuration starts with the plugin configuration for React and tsconfig passes, and then the test environment setup. I set globals here to be true to make Vitest globals like describe, IT, and expect available without adding imports. And the environment JS-DOM to use JS-DOM to simulate the browser environment for DOM testing. Also important thing here is the setup files. So in order to run the setup file before each test suite, then the coverage configuration also here, what to include, what to exclude, And the reporter types, you see here, I added more than one reporter type, so you choose which one that would fit with your requirement or your pipelines or the one that you prefer. Also here, the alias to enable clean imports. So you will not have to add the full path of your component every time in every testing file. And the reporters configurations for your CI/CD, and yeah, so you choose also to add the reporters or not as per your requirements. And this is the setup tests also that we mentioned a few minutes ago to run it before each testing suite. Let's have a look at the structure of the SPFx and see how these files are located in our project. So we all know the package.json. I added some changes here, and also the tsconfig.json. I added some changes here, and this is a new file, vitest.config.ts. And well, I added tests folder, and in the tests folder, I have the testing for my components, and in the root of the tests folder, I added the setup tests. So imagine that all these configuration, I added it manually. So do you think that we can automate that? Is there a way to automate that, not to spend much time in each SPFx project to add all these configurations? Yes, there is. But before we see how to automate that, let's also have a look at the testing component that I added in my project. So this is very basic testing for the default component that we have in the default SPFx project when we scaffold the SPFx project. As you see, I describe here the component passing some test values for the props of the component, and I added few tests here to make sure that the component is rendered. So I'm checking if the user display name and description is rendered. Also the environment message, checking the dark theme. Yeah, so some very basic tests. And by adding the configuration and one test file with few tests like that, we can start run the unit tests. And I prepared for us running the tests in two ways. One way using the command line and one other way to using the UI. In my demo, I automated some stuff. I'm using something called demo time for my presentation. And while presenting, you will see that some stuff are just running like what I will run now. So just for you to know that I'm not doing magic, but I'm just running some stuff without writing, and my demo is prepared. So let's start running the unit tests and see the results in terminal, in VS terminal. So I'm running npm run test with also coverage. It might take few seconds. And we can drink maybe coffee while it's running. Well, it might take few seconds, and we can maybe look into something while it is running. Yeah, good. Yeah, our tests passed. We have some tests and it's passed, and these are my tests. All of them are passed. Cool. Let's try also to run the unit tests in the UI, because this is something cool actually. We always run the unit tests in the command line, but hey, there is a UI to see your tests and run your tests. Well, it is running in the background, and I will show you the browser, the UI. That will show us the unit tests. Isn't it cool? It's actually cool to see all your tests in the UI like that and run your tests this way and see the results of the tests this way. This is the power of Vitest, and it's actually cool, and we are using it in our projects. In my workplace, we are using Vitest to test SPFx projects. Okay. Let's recap on what we have done so far. So we installed the dependencies, adding the necessary Vitest and testing packages to package.json and some other files like configuring the TypeScript to include the required Vitest types in the tsconfig. Also, we created the configuration of Vitest in vitest.config.ts file. And of course, when you start this process, I didn't run npm because I already did it. So I already did it, and I have the packages installed in my project before our demo. So you also have to run npm to update your npm packages for your project. This is what we have done so far. And we have done all of that manually, but can we automate this with GitHub Copilot? Yes, we can. But how? And how it will look like. So let's explain to you how. So we already applied the changes to our SPFx project. And if you have GitHub Copilot license, then you can start this part. Let's imagine that, okay, we have all the changes in place in your SPFx project. Then what if we ask GitHub Copilot to review your changes, all these configuration changes, to ask GitHub Copilot to review these changes, and then it will be aware of the context and aware of these changes. And after that, ask GitHub Copilot to craft for you a prompt that would result the same results, but in another app. So we can get a prompt that we could apply in another project, SPFx project, and then run this prompt, and then all these configuration will be added to our project. Yes, it can be done, and we can then leverage the VS Code prompt files. I don't know if you have heard about the VS Code prompt files or not. I believe that you have heard about these VS Code prompt files. If you already have GitHub Copilot license, then of course you have heard about that. So yeah, we can use the VS Code prompt files to add the generated prompt file to these prompt files in your project. And in your project, you can run the prompt using GitHub Copilot to achieve all these manual configuration that we have done manually. Then when you run this prompt, GitHub Copilot will add for your project all these changes. By that, you will be achieving the reverse engineering. So in this step, you will achieve that, the reverse engineering, by leveraging GitHub Copilot, making it automating all your configurations and save your time and save your development time, automating all this stuff. Let's now start the second demo and asking, well, okay, before asking GitHub Copilot, this is the prompt that I used, and you would, of course, be able to use it to ask GitHub Copilot to review your changes for Vitest unit testing, and then generate a prompt that would be used later on in another project to add all these changes for any other project. So let's run this prompt and let's see what GitHub Copilot can generate for us. As I mentioned, I'm not going to open the chat of GitHub Copilot, but I automate that for our demo and to save us some time. So let's run it and let's see. And I will use the same prompt that you see in the slide. Yes. Now, yes, this is the prompt, the exact prompt that I used and that you saw in the slide. And now GitHub Copilot will check all these files, understand what happened, and generate a prompt to be used for other projects. While it is working, again, I would like to mention again that this automation in this case is just one case scenario. So you can do the same. Imagine if you have some documentation in one of your projects and you would like GitHub Copilot to automate that for you. This is also another case. There are many cases that you can use and automate your stuff and save your time. As you see, it generated for us this MD file, and the MD file contains all these changes that we would need to configure Vitest for another project. Okay, let's keep this file and let's open this file and see what it contains. It contains some stuff like the changes for package JSON and the test comments and the packages that we should add and the types needed and some other stuff. So to be honest, you might need to clean up this MD file, because this MD file will be used as a prompt. So you might remove some stuff that are not needed, or make some cleanup to make it clear next time when you run this prompt in another project. For that, I will use the prompt that GitHub generated for me previously when I prepared for my demo. So let's keep this file, the file that GitHub generated for us, but I will show you the one that I am using. But let's close first the GitHub Copilot chat. We don't need it now. And then before showing you the prompt that I used, actually you should add this prompt that GitHub Copilot generated for you in specific way. So when I mention VS Code prompt files, yes, this is the way how you should add this prompt. So now I'm going to add a new prompt file, and this prompt file that I'm going to add, I will just copy paste the content from this prompt that GitHub generated for me in the new prompt file located in my project in a specific path. I will show it to you. So let's go with new prompt file in this path. And let's give it a name. So we have a new file, or let's say new prompt file created. And this is how the prompt file look like. So let's then copy paste what GitHub generated for us and paste it here for our prompt. Okay. So this is our new prompt that we just got from GitHub Copilot. But okay, I'm not going to use this one. I will use another one that that I prepared for my demo, and I cleaned up it a bit so it is clear. So I'm going to use this one. Then the point now is that we want to run this prompt to add all the configuration of Vitest for our project. How can we do that? This is the file, the prompt file. You have more than one way to run it. There is a way to run it from here by run prompt in new chat or run prompt in the current chat. So you have the option to run it either in new chat or current chat, but I always automate that. So let's see how it will run this prompt. Or maybe, okay, let's run the prompt in the new chat from here, just to see it practically how it look like. So by running that, then GitHub is going to generate for us all the configurations for our SPFx project, or maybe any other project. So if you are using, or if you are a front-end developer using any other frameworks, then you could also do the same. Yeah, it's going to generate for us these changes, but it's already in my project. So let's skip what it will create for us because we already saw that. But as you see, it is actually generating for us all what we need. So yeah, this is how we reverse engineering by making GitHub Copilot to achieve for us the manual things, making or teaching it about our changes and making it to help us automate all this stuff. I hope you like this way of automating the Vitest unit testing for your SPFx project. Okay, let's keep these changes, and it's even asking me to run the test after the changes that it added to my project. Let's keep running the test now, and let's close the the GitHub Copilot chat maybe. Okay. Thank you, and thank you, GitHub Copilot. Still. Okay, let's close it. Oh, I didn't close it, but yeah, let's close it from here. And let's recap on what we have done. So we have some talk about what is Vitest. So these are the key takeaways of my demo today. So we know what is Vitest. It is a fast modern testing library inspired by Jest, deeply integrated with the Vite ecosystem, inheriting its speed, advantages, and so on. And the key features, Vitest is a powerful featured runner that offers speed, fast watch mode, and compatibility, and it is integrated with SharePoint Framework SPFx. The setup and configuration, how to set up and configure Vitest unit testing for SPFx project. And the configuration required for some areas of your projects, like the packages.json, ts.config, and vitest.config.ts. And we understand the manual process, how to do that. And then we also had the live demo of how can we automate that using GitHub Copilot. These are the links that might be helpful for you. So I wrote in my blog site about the configuration required and also the sample code that I used, and the sample contains the Vitest unit testing. It has some branches like initial branch for scaffolding the SPFx, and another branch to configure. You will see in the configure branch the configuration required for applying the Vitest unit testing. And then another branch for the initial tests that I added to the project. I can also maybe share it with you and give you some, we still have time, so this is the sample code. You will see here some branches, the one for the initial SPFx, scaffolding the SPFx app, and the configure Vitest and the initial test. By going to the activity, you will see the PRs, and you will see exactly the changes that I have done to configure my project for Vitest unit testing. So you will see here the changes, the exact changes in the package.json, yeah, here, and tsconfig changes and vitest.config.ts changes, and setup tests. If we go back, well, okay, let's go from here. And there is another PR for the initial tests. It's only one file. The test file that I added contains some tests. And another PR for, yeah, I think these are the main PRs, configuring and the initial tests. Okay, and this is a YouTube video from the SharePoint SPFx community, where I demonstrated kind of the same, but without talking about the automation part of GitHub Copilot. So only the Vitest unit testing configurations. So you can also check and the configuration of Vitest. And also I will share with you a MS form to collect your feedback, because I really would like to hear from you about my session, what you like, what you did not like, to improve myself in the next sessions. Yeah, so then see you in the next event. And if you have questions, then please write it in the chat. We can maybe take it if we have time. If not, then I will try to answer your questions. Also, you can ask me in GitHub Copilot repo by adding maybe a request or question. I will answer you, yeah, in case if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Mohammed, for the great session.
Thank you.
Let's see if David is here. David, if you are ready. Okay.